All right, we're back here on the Next Panel podcast. Like we said last week, coming off a lot of exciting stuff right now in the Marvel superhero DC world. Talking Batman a few weeks ago, previewing Obi-Wan Kenobi, talking about Moon Knight. We're all over the map with Star Wars, DC, and Marvel. But we got to talk about one of the biggest movies, the biggest movie in recent memory. One of the most anticipated releases of the last several years. That being Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. By the time this drops, it's been out for about 2 weeks. If you haven't seen the movie already, what are you waiting for? It's been about a week and a half. Obviously, we are talking spoilers here today, but I've been waiting to talk about this one for a while. This was a big movie. A lot of mixed opinions. Not whether it was a bad movie, but a lot of chatter about this movie coming out of it. The exact opposite for what we were discussing with Moon Knight last week. But a lot to get into here today. But bringing up the panel, per usual, Chris Muller, BR_Doctor on the Twitter machine. Chris, are you ready to dive into the multiverse here today?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking about this movie. I have a lot of thoughts on this one.
A lot of thoughts indeed. Phil, you're back as well. You're on the Twitter machine. Phil, DL616. 616, very fitting, being that we got a lot of talk. I don't know, what was it? Was it the variant Earth of 616? Or I think it was. They talked about Earth 616 in the movie, didn't they?
We did. We got confirmation that our multiverse, or our universe, is the 616 universe.
Yes. I knew. I mean, we've talked about that before, and I know, what's his name? Quentin Beck, Mysterio from Far From Home, had mentioned, this is Earth 616. And he was obviously bullshitting at that point, but maybe he just took a wild guess and made up a number and he was actually accurate. I was wondering how that worked out exactly, but that's just a small thing. But that's cool they acknowledge that here. And Tony Mango, you're back as well, my man. We spoke with you last week, just 5 minutes ago, actually, if we're being honest. But you're back here talking, what are we talking? I almost said Far From Home. We're fucking talking Multiverse of Madness here today with you, my man. You're on the Twitter machine at Tony Mango Body Parts. Obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory. Tony, what's going on, my man? How are you?
Between being on the Moon Knight thing and me doing a Doctor Strange review before, I am officially dubbing this the Multiverse of Mango.
There you go. Are we speaking to a Tony variant here today? I know we spoke about that before.
Yeah, this one's far more successful.
A lot of variants in this movie. We just talked about Oscar Isaac. What'd you say, Tony?
So you're talking to Ant instead of Tony.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right? We spoke about Oscar Isaac and the various roles that he played in his show on Moon Knight. And, Benedict Cumberbatch deserves a lot of credit for as awesome as Elizabeth Olsen was in this movie as Wanda, and I think she stole the show, and we'll get into that. Got to give a lot of credit to Benedict for the role that he played as Doctor Strange in the various versions of Doctor Strange he played in this movie. Like I said, one of the most anticipated releases in recent memory. I think living up to the hype. Is it the greatest MCU movie of all time? No, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a very good 2-hour film. And a lot of thoughts coming out of it as far as what's next, where we go with certain characters. Did they live? Did they die? Again, spoiler alert, I already mentioned it, but if you haven't seen the movie yet, definitely do so. And if you don't give a fuck, that's fine too. But we are talking spoilers here today. Again, I always start out with this generic question, but Chris, your overall thoughts on the movie, did it deliver for you?
Yeah, I think it did. It definitely didn't do a few things I was expecting, but that's probably to its benefit because that meant there were some things that happened that I wasn't expecting.
I mean, it totally...
But yeah, I think overall this is a win for Marvel, this one.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, it was totally different. Not totally different from what I was expecting, but I forgot to mention this too. A Sam Raimi production, first and foremost. I mean, this was the... I don't want to say scariest. I wasn't, sitting there pissing my pants, but I thought it was... They definitely had the jump scares and stuff like that, and a totally different vibe than what we've gotten in the MCU before, and I liked it for that reason, not alone, but I really liked it for that, and I thought they did a great job with that and giving it a different feel than literally anything else we've seen in the last 15 years of the MCU. What about you, Phil? I know you were a big fan of Wanda in this movie, and I wholeheartedly agree. She fucking killed it. What were your thoughts in the Multiverse of Madness?
I thought it was great. I think the biggest compliment I can give it is it's definitely a Sam Raimi movie. It has all of his hallmarks, and I think that it benefited.
Bruce Campbell included. I was very happy to see him make an appearance. I figured there was a chance of that, and he was in all the, obviously, the original Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, so to see him make an appearance as the Pizza Papa, I think his name was in this movie, and including the
Pizza Papa always gets paid.
That was great, and including that that funny post-credit scene, too. I thought that was, to me, that was well worth the wait. Tony, what were your thoughts on the Multiverse of Madness, my man?
you go into a movie like this and you're expecting to have a lot of fun. You come out of it with a smile on your face. You can't say that it's a bad thing whatsoever. I mean, this movie, if we, to use the phrase I used in the Moon Knight thing, we are very spoiled at this point with the MCU, where we are literally getting characters that we never could have gotten in any other kind of series. You could nitpick here and there. You could talk about things that they didn't do that you were hoping that they would and whatever. But if you go into this with the expectation that they need to do the most grandiose thing in the world, and if they don't, then it's underwhelming, you're doing yourself a disservice by not having fun with the movie, because it was great.
It's a fun movie, man. It's very fun, and it sets up a lot of stuff. We got the obligatory cameos that we were expecting, some that we already knew were happening from the trailers, and it was hard to ignore those ahead of time, but we knew about some cameos. We didn't know about others, specifically with the Illuminati. I thought that was really well done, and there were leaks out the week of the movie. I got to give you a shout out, Chris, for letting us know in the DM beforehand that there were leaks out there. I think that was the first I had heard of it. And miraculously, for as much on Twitter as I am, I did not see any of the leaks. And I saw it Thursday too, so I was fortunate in that. I literally, when I logged into YouTube on Friday, I don't know why the fuck the algorithm does this. In my suggested videos was a thumbnail of John Krasinski as Reed Richards in this movie, and it was like some fan cam photo or video from the fucking movie. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The first of all, that someone would post this. The second thing, that it would still be up. And the third thing being that it was in my suggested video. So if I had waited 12 hours to see the movie, I probably would have been fucked. But yes, it is a very fun movie. Going off of what you just said, Tony, how much of this did you like as being a Sam Raimi production with the horror movie elements in the movie? Because I thought it was well done.
This definitely felt like a Sam Raimi thing, and I don't know if the car pops up. I'm assuming that it does, but I am not a big horror aficionado, and I mentioned this before. My wife is, so she was loving this, the different horror elements that spoke to her specifically, and there's particular moments like Zombie Strange that they got a better reaction out of her than things that were in Endgame, where, you know, somebody like me, I got a tear going down my eye because Cap picks up Mjolnir, and she's just sort of like, you nerd, kind of thing. But then, you start getting into the Sam Raimi stuff here, and and then that's something that's speaking to her. And I think that this was the right call to make too. Not only because it's kind of serendipitous. You figure he does the Spider-Man stories. In Spider-Man 2, they make a little reference. What do we call this guy? Doctor Strange. Oh, it's taken. And then you bring that back around, and right after a Doctor Strange and Spider-Man multiverse thing, you get a Doctor Strange multiverse movie with Sam Raimi and everything. It felt like this was a better fit than Scott Derrickson the last time with Doctor Strange even.
Yeah, and that movie was so unique as well. I thought kind of following that, not formula, but that first movie I think is still super underrated. Is it my top 5 movies in the MCU? No, but I think going back and watching it, that was a movie I actually enjoyed probably more the second or third time around than I did the first. That was a really good movie, and it was more of an introductory origin story for Doctor Strange than anything else, but it just visually, it was great. This movie was the same thing, different vibe with the horror movie sort of stuff, obviously with Sam Raimi at the helm. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it really did remind me of the first movie. I thought it was better than the first movie, obviously, but I think they did a great job of really separating it. And I say this all the time with all the shit that we do, but they separated it from everything else they've done so far. And it was, I love No Way Home. It was very different than that movie, for better or for worse, but in the sense that it was just something of its own volition. Like it had its own identity, which I thought was the biggest compliment that you can pay this movie. Phil, your thoughts? I mean, you already talked to the horror movie element of this, but just as far as what they kind of did with it, and Wanda specifically, I know, again, you tweeted a lot about it, but she fucking killed it. I mean, we had several jaw-dropping moments in this movie, specifically with the just one-by-one assassination of the entire Illuminati was probably the biggest holy shit moment of the entire movie, from just death after death with Professor X getting his fucking neck broken to, oh my, it was literally gruesome. They really pushed like the PG-13 rating here. It was gruesome.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought that they did a good job of paying off just how trippy the first Doctor Strange movie was, and taking it up a completely different notch, and then taking everything from WandaVision and taking how much people cared about this character now and flipping that on its head as well. I think they did this great thing where WandaVision was kind of from Wanda's perspective, and so you do empathize with her. And then you come into this movie, and it's kind of from everybody else's perspective, and it's like, no, Wanda's kind of a menace. Like, what is she doing out here? But I think that, you know, that's going to be the most polarizing part for some people is, you know, did they take the character development from WandaVision and throw it in a blender, or did they kind of add to it? I kind of feel like they added to it because by the time we get to the end and we do get her semi-redemption after everything she did, I thought that it was earned.
Yeah, her character development, man, is really the highlight of this movie. And everything she did, it made sense. I mean, if you told me a year ago, oh, Wanda's going to be the main antagonist of Multiverse of Madness, I wouldn't have believed you. But I mean, they made it believable. If you watch WandaVision through and through and have followed her character development from, you know, the first Age of Ultron movie. I mean, obviously, we first see her for 2 seconds at the end of Winter Soldier, but, you know, from Age of Ultron to Civil War to Infinity War, Endgame, her show, like, she went, that whole Vision thing, I could not have given two shits about the whole romance thing back in Infinity War, I think was when they first really, I mean, they had that sexual tension, so to speak, in Age of Ultron or Civil War or whatever, but, you know, it was something I'm like, wow, this feels so forced, and I think even you and I, Chris, had talked about that in the movie when we reviewed Infinity War a couple of years ago, but we talked about that before WandaVision. That was a total 180 for me as far as the Vision character goes and Wanda, and her performance here, and again, we already knew she was the strongest Avenger, but with what we saw here, she literally just killed like a bunch of people all at once. No shame, doesn't give a shit, wants to see her kids. The way they executed it with her, like, she wanted to see her kids, but she didn't give a shit if it was her kids. It was like kids from a different universe. It was so well done, and the acting was awesome too. So, again, a lot of thoughts there. Chris, any response to any of that?
I mean, what do you want me to respond to?
I guess let's talk about Wanda. I asked Phil about Wanda, so talk a little bit about Wanda and her role in the movie.
I really thought Elizabeth Olsen, she's done such a fantastic job, especially in the last several appearances. Like, her first initial appearance was kind of forgettable, in my opinion. But she really can tap into the emotional side of that character really well. And just the way she was characterized in this movie was perfect. And plus, she really did a good job embracing some of the horror stuff you guys were talking about and pulling that into her portrayal.
Yeah, I mean, the way they just executed it with that horror movie elements, I thought was fantastically done. And again, going back to Doctor Strange himself, you talk about character development, and another big part of the movie I liked was how they really made Christine's character matter. Now, I know we saw a little bit of that in What If, but, like, she was almost a non-factor in the first Doctor Strange movie. I know she had a significant role in whatever, but we haven't seen her since, and, you know, she just didn't really matter from that first movie because didn't look like there was any real, true romantic involvement there. But I thought the What If one kind of gave me a newfound appreciation for that relationship, and this movie was kind of all about that and kind of not paying it off because I'm sure we'll see more of it, but I thought that was really well done too. So any thoughts on the Christine, Doctor Strange developments in this movie, Chris?
I think it was smart that they used her the way that they did because we didn't have to see the exact same Christine. We were able to see a variant or a multiverse version. So they were able to tell a slightly different story than just, oh, we're not together anymore, boo-hoo. Like, this is a Christine who watched the Illuminati. Well, she wasn't there, but, like, she knows that the Illuminati killed Steven, and,
yeah,
you know, I don't know. I really liked what they did with her in this movie. I thought it was a good addition, and it kind of gave a nice little wrap-up to that story, and it felt like it gave Steven closure that he got to say, like, you know, he finally told her how he really felt, even if it's not his Christine.
Mm-hmm.
It still felt like that was what his character needed to move forward. So in the next appearance, he's not going to still be sad, lonely, woe is me, where's my Christine, Doctor Strange anymore.
Do you think that they kind of, like you said, paid that off because they might be moving forward with the whole Clea thing? I know she was in the post.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Because that
Absolutely.
in the comics, I know they're romantically linked. Do you think they'll follow through with that in the movies?
That's the thing is I don't know if either of them would be around long enough for them to have a satisfying arc. Because I don't see Charlize Theron being a 10-movie commitment kind of person here. And I doubt Benedict has said he wants to play the character for another 10 years, but that doesn't mean Marvel has another 10 years of plans. That just means he's willing. So I do think we'll get something in the next Doctor Strange movie with them developing something, but I don't know if it'll end up with them getting married and her becoming the Sorcerer Supreme, all that.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear a crazy theory that I've seen going around?
What is it?
That Dormammu is an alternate version of Doctor Strange, where that variant created the Dark Universe, and that Clea, I think Clea in the comics is like the Dormammu's
niece or something.
Great niece or something along those lines, and that Clea is not going to be treated as like a love interest for Doctor Strange because he is going to go more on like the monk side of things again.
Interesting.
Whereas she'll be there as kind of like a pseudo
niece,
like kind of in a way, like where they won't have that kind of relationship, but they'll have a protective side in that way, and that's how they'll kind of avoid just making it a standard romance kind of angle. I don't subscribe to the theory. I think that Dormammu is literally just Dormammu, but the fact that he voiced the character is kind of interesting, and I've seen some worse takes out there at the very least.
I forgot about that. I forgot that he voiced Dormammu. I think you might have been the first one to tell me that, Chris, when we reviewed the movie a couple of years ago, because I completely fucking forgot about that. But yeah, I could totally see that.
I know that Benedict just likes voice acting, so that may have just been one of those things where he's like, "Hey, do you have anybody set to do that? No, let me do it." I just did that dragon.
Yeah,
the dragon.
You can't say penguin though.
Huh?
There's the whole thing. He cannot say the word penguin. He did some kind of like documentary thing or something, and he keeps saying penguins and penguins. He just cannot pronounce the word penguin.
What the heck?
Huh.
Yeah, it's one of those oddball things that they called him out on some like talk show. I forget exactly what it was. Graham Norton, I think.
Huh. So we won't.
That's weird.
We shouldn't expect him to be in Alaska in the next movie then.
If he is, he's going to be like, no, polar bear is what I'm going to reference, not penguin.
That's funny.
Yeah, penguins are at the South Pole.
Okay, yeah. There you go. That makes sense.
Clea should totally hit him with like the Marge line where he's like, I can do everything. And she's like, oh yeah, penguins.
Just you son of a bitch.
I assume all three of you guys knew it was Clea immediately from the first moment she appeared in the post-credits scene. I obviously had no clue, but did you guys all know who that was?
I had to go to the bathroom really bad, so I actually didn't see that scene.
That's funny. Did you hear it? This isn't the first you're hearing about it, right?
Phil and I were talking about it the night after I saw it, and I went on Twitter right away and found a fan cam of that scene like almost immediately.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's a lot out there.
You've got to start content striking some of these folks, man. Like,
I know,
Jesus
dude.
Christ.
Oh my God, tell me about it. It's bad.
Oh yeah, the Bruce Campbell part was up on YouTube for like a full day before I saw that video get taken down.
There's videos still up there.
Yeah, they only have so many people doing that, and the algorithm can only catch so much of it.
Yeah. Some of the stuff that they take down immediately but keep up is just weird to me, but that's YouTube in a nutshell. But
well, I can actually explain part of that. A buddy of mine used to do this for a company. I don't know the name of the parent company, but one of the properties they own is Monster Jam, the monster trucks.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like, he actually, one of his duties one day was interviewing Medusa after her performance.
Medusa, Alundra Blaze, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, one of the things he used to do for them was content striking for people who were posting videos of, their copyrighted content. And what he would tell me was, if it was just like them filming in the arena, they would strike it and have it taken down. But if it was something that was actually like really good quality, what they would do is file a notice with YouTube being like, hey, this content belongs to us, so all the monetization goes to us. Even though it stays up on somebody else's channel,
Interesting.
Monster Jam was making the revenue from it.
I did
So
not
I
know
believe the person who hosted the video probably would have gotten a notification being like, "Hey, this company is taking over monetization. You can either file a claim against that or take the video down."
that. Okay, that would make sense. I've never really thought about it like that. But hey, if they're making the money off the fucking video, why wouldn't they just
Yeah,
want to leave
so
it
I
out?
could
Yeah.
see why some places might employ a strategy of, well, this video is really good, so even though it's using our content, let's just make money off it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. Hey, I mean, they'd be dumb not to if they're making money off of it from someone else's video, but that they were probably not supposed to take in the first place. Which, hey, listen, I do that all the time. I fucking take videos every time I go to one of these wrestling shows. But hey, that makes total sense. But yeah, no, those videos are still up. So if you missed the post credit scene,
Kiss all your credentials goodbye, man.
no, you know what's actually funny about that? Just quick side story. So I posted a video of Brock when Brock came back at SummerSlam. In August of this past year, I was there and I took a video of it and it got like 5 million views. Obviously, you know about that. We talked about it before. It got like 5 million hits. I got a call a couple of days later from one of the PR people at WWE, just talking about something else. And they go at the end of the call, "Oh yeah, your Brock Lesnar video got a lot of views." I'm like, "Oh fuck." First of all, how did you see that? Second of all, I'm like, "Shit, I'll have to take it down or something." They're like, "Wow, it's really cool. They got 5 million views," and they were like really excited about it. I'm like, do I have to take it down or anything? I didn't say that, but I'm just like thinking to myself, like, this is weird. So I guess they just don't give a fuck because that's not their problem. I guess that's probably a different department. But hey, until someone tells me to stop, I'll probably continue to do it. So it's very interesting how that all works. But I will not take
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Did it have his music in it?
Probably. I mean, the audio quality was shit because I was so far up. But
See, that's the thing is, like, if you can audibly hear the entrance music, that's more likely to get you a copyright strike than if you're just filming like a little bit of action.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's different. Now, like, I'm not filming the feed of the show. That shit gets taken down fucking immediately. Like, I wouldn't do that, and I don't want to anyway. But like, that's how I'm surprised some of the movie stuff gets. Like, it's like I've seen a lot of clips from this movie that are still up that are in great quality, and you can audibly hear. It's like 14 seconds of like people reacting to the movie. I don't know. Maybe it'll get taken down eventually, but it's still up as of now. So, bottom line being,
there might be some strategy to that Disney has, where they're like, "Listen, this is engaging the audience, and it's not like they're showing the whole movie, so leave it up, let people enjoy it." Like, I could understand that approach.
yeah.
But again, there's so many people uploading stuff to YouTube, and they only have so many people on their end looking for it.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes sense. Yeah,
some of it's going to squeak by.
Yeah, just with some of the suggested videos. I mean, like I said, there was a fucking thumbnail of John Krasinski as Fantastic Four, and it was footage from the movie because I clicked on it after I'd already seen it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You know what a good example of that is? You don't think Disney could have had that Star Wars holiday special taken off YouTube by now?
That movie was complete garbage, though.
But, like, they don't want to put the whole thing up on Disney Plus, so they'll just leave it up there so people can find it and watch it if they want.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have had that taken down.
The Star Wars thing, absolutely. I just don't think they probably don't give a shit because they're never going to upload it to their own service. So they're like, hey, just go watch it for free on this fucking
They're like,
service.
we gave you the Boba Fett cartoon. That's enough.
This is true. Was any part of this movie spoiled for you at all? Or I know we spoke before previously about the leaks, but did you know about like the John Krasinski thing, or were you able to avoid it?
Black Bolt was spoiled for me.
No, but not Krasinski.
No, but Krasinski was one of those ones that I saw floated around for so long before the movie came out that I just was like, we're either getting Krasinski as Reed Richards, or we're getting Tom Cruise as Iron Man, or there was another Captain America thrown out that I saw that wasn't the Peggy Carter version. Mm-hmm. And this was before Peggy was revealed in like the second or third trailer.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I knew the John Krasinski one. I knew was people wanted it, but I didn't know they would actually do it. So that one genuinely surprised me. The Black Bolt one, I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea who that was. I did not watch Inhumans. I've never seen Inhumans. I literally thought that was a character they made up for this movie.
Phil, you watched Inhumans, right?
I did not.
Oh.
I read the comics. That's how I knew who Black Bolt was.
That's the same actor who played him on the TV show.
I heard that, yes.
He's also on one of those Star Trek shows right now, like Discovery or one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But The way Wanda killed him was
What
so
mouth?
good.
What mouth was awesome. She had several lines in the movie that I thought were her trying to be like cheeky and funny, and it was legitimately funny. Like when he goes, "You don't have any kids. You made them out of magic." She was like, "That's how all mothers make their kids."
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
Great line. That was a great
Do yourself
line.
a favor if you didn't see Inhumans. Don't. It's not a good show. It is terrible.
You know what's funny is
The
like
amount of
you
stuff
have
that we got with
this-
Black Bolt in this is infinitely better than everything combined on that show. You took a character from the comics whose entire purpose is she controls her big hair, and in the first episode you shaved her head. So that way she can't do that throughout the whole show because it's too much costly CGI to deal with.
That's
Absolutely
crazy.
terrible show. Black Bolt was great though, because I had heard some rumblings. I mean, there's a million things. You mentioned the Tom Cruise Iron Man potential cameo of the superior Iron Man. There was everything thrown out there. I mean, there was going to be Chris Evans as Human Torch in this. We're going to get Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. We're going to get Dougray Scott as Wolverine, I heard, because he was originally cast as Wolverine and had to get replaced. And the thing that I had heard most about Black Bolt was Vin Diesel, because he not only had been in the running to play that part and could have potentially been it if they would have done the Inhumans movie instead of the TV show, but that the gimmick would have been, it's funny that he voices a character and you don't see him, and then now you see him but he can't say anything. I was thinking if Black Bolt was going to pop up at all, it was going to be Vin Diesel. I did not expect Ensign Mountain for them to be like, hey, that's a reference to that show that everybody hates.
Yeah, I thought the great thing about Illuminati is that they did all of this fan casting stuff, and it was like, hey, we gave you guys all these things that you wanted, and now literally shut up because Wanda's going to kill all of them.
Yeah, that was funny. I loved seeing Lashana Lynch as Captain Marvel in that universe. That was really cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Her characterization was a little strange. She seemed a little murder happy, but that's, she was only in it for a minute or two, so it's hard to argue with that. But one thing we got to talk about is, did you notice how Mordo is the only person who survived?
That's true. Now, on Mordo, quickly, I forgot about this, and then I was thinking about this after I saw it. So, this is not the same Mordo from that original universe, from Earth 616. So, this is obviously still a different, not an evil version of Mordo, but, what... We still don't know what the fuck happened to Mordo in Earth 616. He just disappeared after that first movie. I thought this was the same one based on the trailers. Obviously, it's not. So it's we still don't even know what he's up to. And then Doctor Strange was he said at one point to the new Mordo, he was like, oh yeah, blah, 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 and then he turned on me or something. But I'm like, when did he turn on him, though? From what we've seen in the movies, he never actually turned on him. He was just doing that weird magic trick. I don't fucking know. But he actually never turned on him in the movie, so that confused me.
Well,
I mean, he basically did. He left
He
at the
didn't
end of the
try to
movie.
kill him.
Okay. But he didn't try
Yeah.
to kill... Yeah, that was the thing.
but he's going
he took
around
the power away from
stealing
Benjamin
magic.
Bratt.
Yeah, he's going around stealing everybody's magic, so he'll eventually come back more powerful somehow.
Yeah, I mean, he essentially threatened Doctor Strange when he walked away. He told him, no, the rent always comes due.
That was the...
Maybe the plan for the next movie is to have this, I guess they're calling him just Carl.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
variant.
Steven was like, wait, Carl?
Yeah, they could just have him pop up and transfer between the universes and be like, hey, by the way, you're Stephen Strange, kind of messed things up over on my world, and, you're justified in getting him, pal. Go get him, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Or they could just be like, no, every time Mordo's out there, he's always going to go after Strange. Could be one of those anchor points.
I can see that. Yeah. No, I thought he did a good job. And you think that based on the fact that he's still alive, Chris, that version of Mordo will be back, or the original one, or both? Or what are you thinking?
I don't know. It just felt like a very intentional thing that they had him left alive, but, he's trapped down in that little walkway or wherever the hell they fell when they were fighting. By the way, this is the first time we've really seen Stephen Strange, fist fighting somebody.
True.
I know they trained him a little bit in the first Doctor Strange, but it still was really weird watching him like fight proficiently.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, so like that little cuff he's wearing, that's dampening their magic.
Yeah.
Look at the fight scene. He like jumps up the wall like he's Black Widow or something, like to get out of that little area they're in. It just, I don't know. That was the one part of the movie to me that didn't gel with me. I was just like, I don't know, man. Seeing Doctor Strange like fist fighting is weird. Like he's got to be susceptible to something. If you take his magic away, having him not be able to fight that well and like really have to fight for his life would be way more interesting to me than having him like hand Mordo his butt for the most part.
There's a whole arc on that in the comics where he loses some of his ability to use magic and he starts using just hand-to-hand combat and weapons.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know. It just felt really random to me. Like, I know Marvel's got to have their fight scenes once in a while, but I loved that we got to see Wong, like, flipping around when they were fighting Gargantos or whatever they're going to call the knockoff Shumagorath.
Wong was great in this movie. He had obviously a much bigger role here than he did in the original. We've seen him a lot in other stuff, like obviously an appearance in Shang-Chi. He was in Infinity War, Endgame, blah, blah, blah. But I thought what'd you say, Phil?
No, I was just laughing to myself because this is the first time he didn't leave and go, oh, well, this is your problem.
Yeah. No, he was great. I thought he did a really good job. I thought everyone was great. We're almost a half an hour in here. We haven't even mentioned her yet, but America Chavez in this movie, I thought her, obviously, MCU debut in this film. Wasn't really sure what to expect with what she could do and just the actress herself, but honestly, she was another one I thought did a really, really good job, and I don't know how old she is, but she has a very bright future in the MCU going forward for sure.
A piece of trivia that I saw earlier, you guys know who her acting coach was?
I don't.
No.
Anthony Mackie.
Really? Wow.
That's cool.
How young or how long has she been acting for?
I don't know. But I did think that was interesting that
she is legitimately only 16 though.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought she was great. I thought all of the character stuff they did with her and Strange was really good. And I know that at first this movie was supposed to come out before Spider-Man, but I felt like this kind of played off of the stuff we saw with him as Spider-Man and learning to trust people more, which is interesting because she was supposed to make a cameo in Spider-Man before the release dates got moved around.
Really?
Yeah, she was supposed to be the one to open the portals to the multiverse to find the other Peters before it got changed.
Wow, I did not know that. That would make a lot of sense, though. But I'm glad they didn't do that in retrospect, and I'm sure if it actually did happen that way, I wouldn't have minded. But that is interesting. Yeah, the way they introduced her in this movie, she was literally the first thing that we see. The first scene of the movie is her with Doctor Strange. You're kind of wondering who the fuck is this and what she could do, which I thought was a different approach than what we've seen in the past. But yeah, I think having Spider-Man come out first, which wasn't intentional, but with the whole COVID thing. But just with the way that Doctor Strange and his relationship with Peter, and then what he did there, kind of factored into the crumble of this universe, which is why everything is happening the way that it did. I thought was really well done. Everything ties together, I think, is great. And I'm trying to think of other main talking points from this movie. Was there something else from this movie that you wanted to talk about, Chris?
Well, I mean, as far as her, I don't know that young actress's name, but I thought she did a great job because she had kind of an interesting role in that we didn't get a ton of time to get to know her before she was thrown into the fray. So they had to sort of do character development on the fly, like a quick conversation about her parents here, stealing pizza balls there, like
yeah.
But yeah, she was interesting. Obviously, they went in a different direction with her power set because in the comics, she has quite a bit more powers than she has here. Mm-hmm. Like here, she can just seem to punch the holes in the multiverse, but in the comics, she has like flight and super strength and like speed and like a bunch of stuff. So I'm wondering if maybe at some point they'll have her develop that, or if they just decided it's more interesting if each person kind of just has one thing.
Yeah.
I figure she just doesn't know that she has those abilities yet.
Yeah, maybe.
They build up to it.
It's one of those things where she's so young that they could have it be one of the, it develops over time too. But yeah, I really liked her. I mean, the casting in this movie was great. All the acting was great. The horror elements, I thought, weren't necessarily actually scary. They were just cool.
I agree.
Like,
I wasn't scared.
Watching her crawl out of the big gong, like she's the girl in the ring crawling out of the TV.
Yeah.
Like, that was a cool visual. And that felt like a direct reference to The Ring with the way she, like, crawled out and was sort of, like, jacked up and then fixed her body. I thought the way that they introduced the magical fighting when Strange was fighting himself was one of the most comic book things we've ever seen in a movie. They were literally throwing bars of music at each other.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was like, they just were like, let's just go for it and make his magic insane. And that was so much fun for me.
That was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. That was an innovative way of doing things. They played into the kind of snobby aspect of him, because it's like, you know, he used to be this real pompous ass, and of course he's got, you know, Beethoven on the piano next to him and whatever.
Hey, but he's a Chuck Mangione fan too, don't forget.
That was a great little thing, because that's, I mean, I've never been a big Doctor Strange fan, and I don't really like magic stuff in general. It always feels to me a little, you know, we're going to break the rules and we're going to set them and then we're going to break them and just go with it kind of thing. Whatever different story it is, the Harry Potter is even one of them, where it's just like, and suddenly we can do this now because we need to do it for the script. But I've always thought, you know, Doctor Strange is at its best when they're playing into this otherworldly, completely different from what you're going to see in the other movies thing. Because Captain America, you're going to see typical fight scenes. You're going to see similar things with Thor. You're going to see similar things with Iron Man. You can't get this kind of stuff that we get in Doctor Strange in a Hawkeye story. So play into it and have this music note be the thing that takes the dark hold away from him. That's the cool stuff. And play into the horror stuff. Make it to where it's teetering on that PG-13 kind of line. You're not going to do a rated R film for anything else except for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like, they really make you think in the trailer that Wanda's all covered in blood, and it turns out it's just oil from the robots she killed.
Yeah.
Like, that was an interesting little twist right there. But, yeah, all the magic stuff in this was really cool. And magic and horror sort of go together really well. There's a lot of magical-based horror properties out there, so all the spell casting and the candles and the pentagrams and all this different stuff sort of fits in that universe. But one thing that I thought was really cool was the evil Doctor Strange, who was using the Darkhold, his magic was purple, just like Agatha's.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, yeah, I didn't really realize that. That's a good point.
Yeah,
nice little bit of continuity.
I thought they did a good job of swerving us and making us think that was What If Strange, and it was a completely other evil Strange.
I completely agree.
And same thing with Zombie Strange. Like, we're like, oh, he's going to fight a zombie. No, that's just actually the good Doctor Strange inhabiting the dead Doctor Strange's body.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really cool, the way he used the demons and turned it into a cloak. That was awesome.
Yeah. That was a cool visual when he, like, comes flying in and they kind of look like these big dark wings sticking out. And then I love how Wanda's like, dream walking, you hypocrite. That was another one of her good little lines. I liked that one.
Yeah,
it was a great joke as well, when it's like, you know, you need a living Doctor Strange in that universe. Oh, well, he doesn't have to be living. And then everybody just goes, oh, shit, yeah, the zombie thing. Like, you know. I don't know if you guys had the same reaction, but the theater, when I had seen it, that moment of it doesn't have to be a living Doctor Strange, there was like a split second and then everybody went, like.
Yeah. Kind of the same.
It was kind of funny that it seemed like at one point they were going to draw a direct distinction between magic and witchcraft, and then they never really did.
They kind of did.
Well, I mean, sort of, but Wong was like, that's not magic, it's witchcraft. But like a lot of the stuff that they're doing seems to be dealing with both, I guess. I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting line, that I thought was going to lead somewhere, like, oh, maybe there's something Strange can do that Wanda can't because she's using witchcraft, not magic, or vice versa.
The way I read that line too is I thought they kind of did, but I also felt like it was kind of to Wanda's point that they kind of looked down their nose at her, like, no, we don't do what you do. You're doing something worse than what we're doing. And it's like, well, yeah, you guys are also like breaking laws and breaking rules when you feel like it too. And I feel like that was Wanda's strongest point throughout the movie, where she was like, yeah, no, you do whatever you want and nobody says anything to you. But when I do, it's wrong. Yeah. And I thought it said everything that the Illuminati was like, yeah, we don't care about Wanda. You're the problem.
Yeah. And that was such a good line for the trailer, too, when she's like, you break the rules and you're a hero, and I do and I'm the villain. It doesn't seem fair. Like, her little performance just delivering that line was so good. I loved that scene when he went to try and recruit her, and, like, you can tell he's suspicious, but she sort of convinces him, like, oh, no, none of this is magic. I'm just chilling out here. And then she reveals that, like, it actually is just all this big hex that she cast. I don't know. This movie, to me, firmly establishes her as the most powerful character in the MCU. Because, like, Strange never beat her. Like, America had to appeal to the good side of her by forcing her to look bad in front of her kids.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, she essentially beat herself.
Yeah, exactly. And let's face it, this is Marvel. If you don't see the body, they're not dead. So we don't think Wanda killed herself.
I don't believe that.
She'll be back. Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids have to be back for the Young Avengers thing at the very least.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, I don't think she's dead. But I think people making it seem like she is irredeemable. I mean, she did kill a lot of people in this movie. She did do a lot of pretty
cool things. So is Loki.
I mean, but I think she's redeemable. I mean, they essentially redeemed Peacemaker. Like, they can redeem... You can redeem anybody.
They redeemed Loki, who's literally, like, taken a man's eye out in front of a crowd of people in the first Avengers movie, committed God knows how many atrocities off screen, let alone the Battle of New York and how many deaths he's responsible for there. Like... No, it's comic books. Nobody's irredeemable. Like, even Thanos has been good at some points in the comics.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of the point of this movie is that, anybody can make mistakes. And I feel like the whole relationship between America and Doctor Strange is, at the beginning of the movie, his other universe self is like, no, we got to get rid of you. And I feel like that's kind of what we've been hearing about Wanda for like 3 properties now. Like, she's got to go. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, at some point you got to acknowledge that you made a mess with Wanda and you guys should fix it. I think one of the things that annoyed me the most about Tony is that Tony never acknowledged that his mistakes made Wanda. And he never did anything to make up for that. He never even tried to help her.
That is a good point. Never really thought about that, but that was never even hinted at, was it?
No, he his weapons killed her family, and then Cap basically tried to help her by recruiting her, and then he later was just like, no, we got to put her away. We got to lock her up. And he didn't even have a conversation with her. He sent Vision to do
it. Yeah, she's been done dirty, which is why what. I mean, I'm not saying I don't justify her killing all those people, but, like, it does make what she did in this movie make more sense, because it's not like she just became a bad guy out of nowhere. Like, everything she did was for a reason, and I don't know. I thought it was great, and even I know this was off topic from what we were just talking about, but even going back to the Christine thing, I think it was really cool with the way that they did it. It was way more realistic as opposed to like, oh, they end up falling in love and she ditches her current husband to be with him. And no, it's like, no, listen, you made your bed. Now you got to lie in it. You fucked up. You missed your chance in every single universe with this girl. And now you got to suffer the consequences. And now maybe something happens with Clea, cool. But if not, it's like, I like that because, we've talked a lot in other podcasts when it comes to these movies about how, like, it always feels like the guy ends up with the girl. And that's just movies in general. But I don't know. And in this retrospect, it's not like it ended on a happy note. Like, all these people fucking died. And, like, Wanda doesn't get her kids. We don't know what happens to her. Doctor Strange is out doing his own thing with a third eye in his head. So, like, it doesn't end on a very like, oh, I feel so good about myself. You really don't, but that's what I like about this movie. And I thought they did a great job of capturing that darker tone. And I don't know, Sam Raimi will be back for more, but I thought it was great.
I don't know.
America doesn't even get to see our moms in this.
Yeah, that too.
They're just sort of like, maybe in the future. It's not a happy ending. It's a, well, we avoided the worst case scenario kind of ending.
Exactly.
Unless you're somebody like Reed, and then you're just
and
dead.
really, the very end is like Strange's third eye opening. That's not a happy ending.
No, I was
That's
like, the fuck is
shit.
this? Yeah, I was scared. I was like, what's going on, man?
No, but I mean, look, I think the great thing about what they did with this movie and his first movie is that Mordo was always right. Mordo was like, look, everything you've done is going to have a consequence. And I feel like everything he's done, even if it had good intentions, he still has to answer for it. And I do like the idea of that they introduced very early in the movie with him asking, well, not him asking, but him going to the wedding and getting asked, are you happy? And he's just like, yeah. And he's clearly lying. And
Yes.
I feel like
yes.
all of that stuff is handled really well, because then when we get the reveal with Sinister Strange later that, no, I wasn't happy. And he essentially did the same thing Wanda did and tried to look for a universe where he was happy, which again made her point even stronger that, you know, you guys look down your nose at me and none of you are healthy, responsible people either. You're all reckless too.
That's a great point. I had a good laugh at, you tweeted that on Sunday or yesterday, Phil, about like how that was the most like realistic or like the biggest takeaway from that movie about the whole happy thing. I got a good laugh out of that because that's so true. You don't ordinarily see that with these sort of movies, so I thought they did a great job with that as well. And yeah, no, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't know if it was this, I don't know, I wouldn't call it mind-blowing, but I think some people, no one was disappointed as far as like, oh, that wasn't what I thought it would be. It wasn't as big of a movie as I thought it would be, and that's not a bad thing, because I think, again, going back to what we said about Moon Knight, people set their bar so fucking high, and this is also the first movie people got to remember since No Way Home, so it's like, oh, if that was crazy, then what else are they going to have in it, because they put, you know, Charles Xavier in the fucking, in the preview, so it's like, wow, if he's in the preview, I wonder what else they're going to do, and they had a number of surprises. They didn't have no surprises. In retrospect, I wouldn't have revealed as much as they did in the trailers. I personally was not a fan of that. Like, I only saw the Captain Carter thing like a couple days beforehand through a random trailer that I saw online or something. I would not have revealed that. I don't know why they did that. I would have taken away some of the trailer stuff. But overall, I thought this delivered, though, and I think they did a great job. And again, it sets the stage for a lot of what could be seen going forward with, as you mentioned, Tony, the Young Avengers stuff, Doctor Strange 3, obviously, whatever the hell they do next with Scarlet Witch, which might not be for a while, but we'll see. But yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. And I like the fact it's only 2 hours, too. A lot of these movies, No Way Home, Endgame, all 3 hours, Eternals was an eternity, no pun intended. But Batman, oh my God. I mean, listen, they're all good movies, but you know, they're long. I like this was 2 hours, short, sweet, straight to the point, good shit. The pacing, I know, was a nitpick for some people, but, you know, it wasn't a big problem for me. I liked it. It was a good movie. So, final thoughts in Multiverse of Madness. Phil, I'll start with you.
I thought it was really good. I thought there was enough stuff there, but as you said, the bar is so high with Endgame and so many other things where they've made these movies into like such a big event that everybody expects so much. But I mean, we got our first Mr. Fantastic in MCU. Mm-hmm. We got Xavier with the 90s X-Men theme.
Yes.
Come on, man. Like, I think that people are just, they have such high expectations for these things that sometimes they won't just take it at face value. Yeah. And I think what we got at face value was very good.
Yes, dude. It's like one of those, to make a wrestling reference, it's like an old Rumble from 5, 6, 7 years ago, which they weren't always great, but it's like we get all these cool... What were we going to say?
I'm also old enough to remember when Wanda debuted and how people were like, oh, she's weak compared to what she is in a comic. She's underpowered. And now she's super powerful and people are like, oh, she beat the Illuminati too easily. It's like, well, you want her to be powerful, right? So,
that's a dumb criticism. If someone had said that, yeah, I mean, I kind of get that a little bit, but I don't agree with it, but I could see why someone would say that. Because this isn't the same Professor X from the X-Men movies. I mean, obviously it's the same actor and whatever, but it's a different variant of that character, so it's not the same one. And as you guys mentioned, the comic references and whatever. Was this a one-off as we wind down here? Is this a one-off for him as Patrick Stewart as Professor X, or do you guys think he'll be back in a smaller role in the future?
I think they'll get a different actor. If they don't use James McAvoy, which I kind of doubt they will, I think they'll go with somebody else. This just felt like a fun fan service nod.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Patrick Stewart is going to want to do a bunch of X-Men movies again. Like, he's getting up there in age. He's got a lot of Star Trek stuff going on. I just don't see it. I think this was... I think this was the end for his character just in general, but he was a fun cameo. I'm kind of curious what everybody's favorite was, because there was several cameos in this movie.
Yeah, the Krasinski one took me by surprise, so probably that one. But honestly, like, this is going to sound pathetic, but like, I was one of the only people that was cheering in my theater when Bruce Campbell showed up. I'm like, how is no one reacting to this? Like, this is fucking cool. I was so disappointed.
Were you disappointed that he wasn't another version of Mysterio?
That would have been cool.
That would have referenced that, or like a different Doctor Strange, or something that's bigger than a guy selling pizza. The
Mysterio thing would have been funny, and I was expecting like maybe they'll reference that, because I know he was supposed to be Mysterio, like you said, in the same Raimi movies and whatever. That didn't disappoint me. I was happy he was even in it at all. I was more disappointed with the fact that no one knew who he was or why that was significant. Literally no one. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Come on. I'm so pissed. What about you guys? As far as favorite cameo goes, I guess.
I'm gonna go with Reed, because I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, and it just makes me think like they're gonna do something big once they finally do the movie.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it'll be him?
I don't know. I kind of feel like that scene was like Marvel saying, "Here, damn, stop asking us for all these things," and then killed all of them. Like, now it's done. Leave us alone.
Yeah, definitely possible.
As far as scope, the Reed thing definitely takes the cake. But
yeah,
I mean, you got Professor Xavier in the yellow floating wheelchair from the comics and everything with the 90s animated theme, and it's Patrick Stewart. That's a perfect recipe right there. That's the perfect pizza to get Bruce Campbell. Maybe he would have done that with like the right pepperoni and the stringy cheese and everything. Like, they couldn't have done that better unless you would have had all the other X-Men and all the other characters. Then, to use another wrestling analogy, then we're starting getting to that whole, WWE would have been great if you would have added all the WCW guys that mattered back in the same time frame. You have every possible great person on the roster.
Yeah.
But you can't expect that kind of stuff. And we knew that Xavier was going to be in this, but the fact that they gave us that extra little bit with that 90s theme, I don't think that anything else in the movie made me just kind of perk up as much as that, except for maybe the Reed thing, just because maybe Krasinski's not the guy that carries it forward, but they did it. He crossed it off the list. They don't have to worry about that anymore.
I gotta say, my favorite was Black Bolt, just because we actually got him with a comics accurate costume with the stupid fork on his head. And just the way they killed him was so insane.
That was great.
She takes away his mouth and he just blows his head open because he can't speak.
No, that was gruesome.
It was nuts. But
man,
I have been
say
wanting...
the way they killed their Universe is Strange was really sad. Like, really sad. I was like, wow.
That was a really interesting scene. And having Black Bolt be the one to do it too. Like, I don't know, but the way they portrayed Black Bolt's powers was cool. I thought that was... I wish we would have gotten to see a little bit more of Reed, because like he literally just stretches his arm out once and then she ribbons him up, which I thought was kind of interesting because that seemed a little reminiscent of the way Thanos kind of made Mantis fall apart in Endgame.
Yeah, it's true.
I thought her line to him was very cruel but hilarious. Hey, is their mother still alive?
Oh,
yeah. She's good.
There's always somebody to raise the kids. Like,
yo, that was fucked up. Yeah, that made me uncomfortable.
She was wicked in this movie.
She really was. Dude. She was a straight up savage in this movie. It was great. It was like
she chopped Captain Carter in half. You know?
Oh
yeah.
She gave the after she gave Cap's line.
So, am I the only one who's wanted a live-action Captain Carter series since What If?
I want to see that too.
Because, now actually seeing her in the costume and stuff, it works. She looked great.
I would love to
I
see
think she'll be back. I don't think this was the Captain Carter from What If.
No, none of these were supposed to be the What If characters, from my understanding, because we're getting another season of What If, so we'll probably get more with those same characters. And that was the big swerve too, is we thought we were getting Zombie Strange and Evil Strange and that Captain Carter. We didn't get any of those. But just, seeing her in the costume with the jetpack, that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that some people missed the subtext also, because, like I said, it was so sad the way they killed their universe's Doctor Strange. If we got to the end of the movie and Strange just killed Wanda, then I don't think anything would have been learned from the entire movie.
It's kind of funny that he was he didn't really freak out about it, but he was like, you guys built a statue. And Captain Carter's like, the world needs heroes. And it just reminded me so much of The Dark Knight Rises when they revealed the Batman statue at the end.
Yeah. That's a good connection. I didn't think of that, but I can see the connection now, though. Yeah, no, it was interesting. There's a lot of good cameos in this movie. There was a lot of great moments. I can go on forever about this, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more in detail in the future, especially as we find out what's next for all the characters involved. But in a vacuum, in a nutshell, this was a very good movie. Obviously, a strong recommendation from us all, and a nice little, in-between movie. We haven't had a new Marvel movie in a while, since No Way Home in December, and that was 5 months ago. Before that, we had Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Black Widow all in the span of 5 months. So literally, since we had No Way Home, in that same time frame last year, we had 4 different movies. So I liked we had a bit of a break.
Isn't it funny to think of that as a while, though? It's only been 5 months, and we're like, oh, it's been a while.
I know. When 2 years ago, we were like, oh, it's been 2 years without a fucking movie, and we're freaking out. But now it's been 5 months.
You know what Marvel is at this point? The Marvel movies and the TV shows, it's all just one big, long-running series. And,
yeah.
I think that's why people aren't tired of it yet, because it just feels like we're watching another episode of a show, not another movie in a franchise. That's why this feels different from Star Wars. I don't think Star Wars could sustain 2 to 3 movies a year and a couple of TV series. The way they're doing it now, just focusing on the TV series, I feel like that's the future of Star Wars, whereas with Marvel, they're still good to go with both TV and movies.
Yeah. No, they found a formula that works, and you kind of worry a little bit about overexposure when you hear that they're announcing so many shows initially a couple of years ago, but they've done so right by every single one of them and every movie for the most part that it's kind of hard to complain. So
every show has almost been a different genre.
Yep.
This Miss Marvel show, it seems like it's going to be a teen coming of age kind of story, sort of like how the first Spider-Man was for Peter. Just the way that trailer made it look just reminded me of so many teen comedies from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you said before, and like we talked about with Moon Knight, it's so vastly different than everything else they've done, which is really impressive considering it's not like they're doing a movie or a show a year. They're doing multiple, and they're still finding new ways to explore new genres after 14 years of doing this since the first Iron Man movie, which is an amazing feat in and of itself. And, we don't have to wait too long for new content because, like I said, we have Miss Marvel coming out in less than a month and only a couple of weeks. As far as Marvel goes, I'm not even talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but we have that in a couple weeks, and then obviously Thor: Love and Thunder in early July. So I forget what the rest of the schedule looks like for the rest of the year as far as the shows go in the movies. I thought Black Panther was out in November. I could be wrong. I don't know if it got moved again, but I think we have that to look forward to as well. So, no, this was great, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk about it. I've been waiting to get all my multiverse thoughts out since I saw this, the day that it came out on Thursday. So I'm glad we got it out of the way here. We were able to chat about it. We don't have to wait another 6 months like with No Way Home, and we talked about it a couple months later. We were finally able to talk about it as soon as it came out, which is cool. I'm glad we all saw it. But Chris, you're on the Twitter machine at BR_Dr. Phil. You're on Twitter as well, PhilDL616. And Tony, as we said in the last podcast, you're all over the place. Smart Account Moment, Fanboys Anonymous. You're on Twitter at Tony Mango, body parts, Tony Mango. And one more time for the people that may not have checked out the last podcast, where can we find you in addition to everything else I just mentioned?
I mean, that covers pretty much all of it. You got the geek culture stuff on Fanboys. You got the pro wrestling stuff on Smart Out Moment. And if you follow me at a Mango Tree, you'll see all that stuff in one big lump sum.
Fantastic. And obviously we're all part of Bleacher Report as well, so check out our work over there for all the wrestling stuff with people in spandex and all that other shit. So that's another time, but always a nice refresher to talk about some Marvel and superhero shit here today. So this has been great, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.